What's going on, Tamers? East here. Now, if you notice that little trumpet squeak in my voice, that's because I spent the last weekend at the Capcom Cup World Finals, which is literally like right down the street from my apartment, so I couldn't not go. And yeah, I got loud. Even if you have like a passing interest in fighting games, I really recommend going out and checking some of the VODs because the storylines there were absolutely amazing. Anyway, we were on break last week because I had to go to Korea for the weekend, and that means in today's video we're going to be doing some catching up on weeks 4 and 5 in a double feature meta report video. Also, shout outs to the Korean Digimon card game community. They welcomed me with open arms to one of their events during the weekend, and I had an absolute blast. There are also some very talented players out there. And if you're interested, I actually had a chance to speak to and interview one of the tournament organizers out there, a good friend of mine by the name of I Am Banana Soup, and we got to talk about what makes the Korean Digimon community so different from literally everywhere else in the world. If you're interested, definitely check out that video on the channel after this one. So wrapping up weeks 4 and 5 of the BT20 set over here in Asia, and I guess week 1 across the world, we've actually got the World Championships happening this weekend. We also had the release of the Special Booster 2.5 over in China and I believe in the rest of the West, and that means that you guys are playing the game in the same state as Asia is now. A couple of other points, we also got the leak and then subsequent announcement of the updated banner restrict list happening after Worlds. It seems like directly after Worlds we'll get that list, which will be kind of cool. Maybe they'll do it at the end of the broadcast. That'd be nice. And so with all these things on the horizon, it's a really exciting time to be playing the game no matter who or where you are. And so with that, let's take a look at some event results, a couple of key takeaways, and a close look at some of the decks that topped over the course of the past 2 weeks. So first, taking a look at week 4, it feels like the playing field is starting to flatten as players are trying to find ways to fight against Royal Knights and the Omecamon Menace. I hate that little bastard. This week saw the push of other strong decks in the game trying to even out the playing field in things like Velgar Loop, Finnerlugamon Takemizuchi, as well as Sakyamon or Taomon Ruin Mode Loop. Meanwhile, the rookie level here is dominated by decks that just like 1 or 2 sets ago were some of the strongest decks in the game, and honestly, based off some of the reveals we've gotten so far, in BT21 they may become the strongest decks in the game once again. Especially when you consider some of the new cards for Galpmon as well as Magnamon Armor. And now dropping down to the in-training level, it's some of the mainstays we've seen since BT20 start, things like Jesmon, but there's been some really interesting things that have happened with Crossheart. For example, they've added in the new Chaosmon Valder Arm to their arsenal for great effect. We also got a couple of tops from things like the Necromon deck, where this deck also actually managed to top 8 at the Korean event that I was at, and watching a really skilled player pilot it is really something to behold. It just looks so buttery smooth. And while I unfortunately don't have the top 8 list from the Korean event, I do have one of the winning lists from the week 4's results, so definitely stay tuned for that. And with the game reaching parity across the world now, if you want to stay up to date with the latest news and info, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Digimon card game content shuffled directly into your YouTube feed. Week 5 didn't see too much change as a whole, but the one cool little milestone here is that this is the first week that includes international data in meta reports. I'm still on the fence about whether I want to incorporate the English-speaking events into the meta reports, just because doing it for Asia alone is already so time-consuming and takes so much effort. Just another reason that if you do like the things that we're putting out here, or you found any of my videos helpful, please consider becoming a YouTube member to support the work that me and my editor, Lord Sazier, are doing. Maybe the one deck that had a breakout performance this past week was that of Gigaseedramon, where even when I look at the list though, I'm not really sure what changed. It feels like all of the cards were things that I've seen before. Maybe there have been some new plays that have been introduced. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments below because I'd love to learn. Alongside that was also Mother Control, utilizing some of the black hybrid cards. You know, black recently has kind of struggled to find a footing among some of the strongest decks in the game these past few sets, but honestly, I think when you look at some of the cards that it has access to, things like the Floodgate Chikurimon, the 2-cost Kongo option card that is like the hybrid killer, honestly, especially for Velgar Loop, and then things like the BT13 Alphamon, who can prevent like high-level Digimon, aka the Royal Knights, from attacking for a turn. It has some great cards in its pool that I think that folks just haven't put together yet. And then as we examine the in-training level here, one of the interesting things that I think popped up here was the Leviamon, where I feel like as more and more decks are starting to play Digimon and Tamers by effects, he only gets better with time. In the coming weeks, especially at the World Championships, it'll be interesting to see if he makes a return. The first deck we're going to be taking a look at today is going to be the BT20 Liberator Necromon deck. Now, Necromon came out in BT20, and similar to Chaosmon, is one of those like less talked about decks that actually packs a surprising punch. It utilizes the new keyword ability Execute, which lets you at the end of turn attack and then delete the Digimon itself, and combine that with the myriad of deletion effects this deck has that lets you play other Digimon. As a result, this deck stays scary every single turn. The two biggest enablers of this effect are the level 6 Necromon himself, the poster boy of the deck, as well as the level 5 Phantomon, who lets you play down a level 5 and level 4 Digimon respectively. You can also make your deletions even more useful with some great effects, things like the Metal Phantomon at level 5, who gives D-Digivolve, as well as the level 3s and level 4s in the Gazimon, and the Ghostmon and the Bakemon, who all give memory +1 on deletion. When talking about the tamers, the two standouts for this deck are definitely the BT20 Violet Inboots, who lets you evolve a ghost that's played by an effect immediately, and the added bonus here is that that ghost evolves at a cost -2. This alongside the EX1's Analog Youth, who honestly might be the best card in the game at this point, or the most flexible anyway, who can help you keep your turn whenever you use Execute to delete one of your Digimon. If that Digimon was level 5 or higher that had sources, you can gain a memory then hatch an egg. This way, you'll get a Digimon back on the board as a result of the deletion effects you have, but also, for even more offense, you'll have another Digimon in the raising area for the following turn. This deck also runs 2 copies of the 8-cost Apparition Legion option, introduced in BT20 as well, which has a really interesting effect that lets you bottom deck cards in your opponent's trash in order to play ghosts from your trash. What's really cool is that the ghosts that are played by this card's effect gain Rush, so if they have Execute, they can actually attack before the turn's over, and then you can delete them and then they play another ghost after that. You can also use this card defensively, as it also gives those Digimon played by its effect blocker as well. So with a myriad of great deletion abilities and the new keyword Execute, Necromon and the Ghost Gang will have you haunting your opponents. You know, between the BT20 Chronicle cards, the old Alphamon Oryuken mode cards, and the Digiplease Oryumon cards, there's a lot of different ways to build Alphamon right now. But this list here focuses on the new Alphamon Oryuken mode Ace introduced in BT20 and leans on some of the Dex and Doru named cards from past and present. Cards like the Dorugamon and Dex Dorugamon level 4s, as well as the level 5 Dorugreymon, and to a lesser extent Dex Dorugreymon as well. And because these cards essentially allow you to evolve at the same level twice, especially the level 4s here, the Cool Boy here is actually a great addition because it nets you more card draw overall and lets you go memory plus on some of your evolves. Looking at the level 3s, this list does include some of the SOC Dorumon cards from BT16, with the Kosuke Kisukata counterpart at the bottom of the screen there. Luckily, these cards aren't a necessity for victory, but rather a nice accent to the deck, giving you a free tamer play, as well as bounce protection for a turn. Also, you know what, I just realized, AJ, I hate this setup. Let me make this better. This like 45-degree side angle, why not just do it from straight down? I don't get it. Anyway, I actually did make this a nicer format, so let's use this. Sorry folks at home for disrespecting your eyeballs like that. This list also includes the BT7 Dorumon, who is a great search, letting you grab basically any Digimon in the deck, while also lets you some memory gain and inheritance whenever you would add cards to your sources. This effect combos really well with the level 5 Dorugreymon to both let you do just that. And one of the things that I'm kind of surprised that I don't see in this deck are any of the X antibody protoforms, which, if you utilize those alongside the Dorumon, you can have like 1 cost level 5 or level 6 Digivolves or free level 4s. It might be worth thinking about adding in maybe 1 or 2 X antibody protoforms if you're thinking of building the deck yourself. And finally, looking at the top end of the deck, it's really similar to its old Alphamon Oryuken mode counterpart in BT9, where the goal is to get an Alphamon on the board with an Oryumon tucked in its sources. This way, you can either make multiple swings, trash security when you attack, or both to win your games. And defensively, the Alphamon Oryuken mode Ace is a fantastic card with some amazing effects. Things like -15 KDP. If you DNA into him, you can also recover one and then trash one of your opponent's security. And the added bonus here is that whenever anybody trashes Ace security during a turn, you gain 3 memory, potentially letting you steal a turn whenever you go for your Ace play. Offensively, this deck has a couple of copies of the cheeky Mega Digimon Assembly option card, the white one there on the far right, where you can basically evolve into your Alphamon Oryuken mode Ace for 1 cost with only 1 level 6 on the board, letting you DNA Digivolve with a level 6 in your hand as well. And so if you're like me and you've been scratching your head on what direction to take the new BT20 Alphamon cards, this is a great blueprint. Each week, I allow my champion level and higher YouTube members to vote on decks they want to see featured in these meta report videos, is what I would say if I didn't hit the wrong button and actually let all the YouTube members vote this week, so enjoy the freebie, folks. But this week, all the YouTube members voted to see Zephagamon. Really, guys? Zephagamon? There was a cool-ass crossword list with the Chaosmon in there. You guys chose Zephagamon? I mean, I'm not mad. I like the deck myself. But anyway, if you'd like to vote on decks that you want to see covered in these kinds of videos, as well as some other cool perks and bonuses like early access to my content, then consider becoming a YouTube member as well. Once again, thanks to all the folks who do support the channel. I really do appreciate it. And with that, let's take a look at Zephagamon. This list, hailing from a Chinese event, is what I think max power and also, let me double check here, yeah, max rarity Zephagamon looks like. It combines the familiar faces of the Terramon cards at the level 3, who give great effects like resting opponent's Digimon, Liberator Search, which lets you grab essentially 2 cards, and cost minus evolution. And alongside them are a couple copies of the BT14 Palmon card, who has great benefits by letting you gain memory off of your opponent's suspending. And because most suspending effects come from you Digivolving in this deck, thanks to the Palmon card, you can make those like free or 1 cost evolves. The level 4 surprisingly have completely cut out the starter deck Galemon entirely in favor of the EX7 Galemon, who lets you play Tamers for free, as well as the promo Galemon card to allow you to gain plus 2000 and piercing, and the new promo Galemon card who lets you evolve again immediately with a reduced cost based on how many Digimon on the board are already suspended. Level 5 includes some of the staple cards for the deck like the EX7 Grand Galemon, which can give you effect immunity for a turn, alongside some fantastic tech choices. Things like the Argomon, who can stop hybrid decks in their tracks, as well as the level 5 starter deck Rapidmon, who has De-Digivolve, as well as some great protection effects which can let you threaten your ace play. Your level 6s actually focus a little bit more on the medieval Gallantmon rather than the Zephagamon cards themselves, but that's okay, considering the new Zephagamon ace card can evolve off of Vortex Warrior cards as well. And then with that, you also have the one copy of the Imperial Digimon Paladin mode ace, just as a little bit of trash hate, as well as a little bit of hate if your opponent tries to go wide. The Tamers here are the familiar Shoto Kazamas who have effects like letting you unsuspend at the end of turn, giving you piercing and blocker, as well as letting you redirect your Vortex attacks from a Digimon into the player themselves. What's cool is that this list also includes one of the BT20 Shoto Kazama Tamers, which lets you play down at level 3 at the start of your main phase if you don't have one on the board, while also letting you cycle into another Shoto Kazama Tamer as well. And at the end of the turn, if he's on board, you can actually pump up one of your Vortex Warrior Digimon by 2000 DP. And so if you're looking for a deck with no pathetic cards and a Zephagamon list with some real protagonist power, look no further. And with that, we're going to bring our week 4 and 5 double feature meta report to a close. I'm super excited for the World's Events happening this week. It's going to be a great time. I'm really looking forward to what some of these guys have been cooking up across the world. Yeah, also, if you're actually at the event, don't be shy. Come say, hey, I'm down to play some games, just hang out. I think it's going to be a great time. Anyways, folks, I'm going to get out of here, rest my voice up for this weekend. Before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Dang, I can hear it in my voice now. I sound like a mouse. Ho ho! Sounds awful.